The lighting in VFW is so bad. I found this almost impossible to watch. It was such an uncomfortable experience. This was released in 2019. It's directed by Joe Begos. It's written by Max Brallier and Matthew McCardle, and we have a cast including Stephen Lang, William Sadler, Fred Williamson, Martin Kove, David Patrick Kelly, George Wendt. It's because of George Wendt that I was interested in watching this. Love George Wendt, and the narrative itself didn't seem like it would appeal to me, but I was willing to give it a go, and it seems like it could have been a really decent, gory, graphic film, and I'll be honest, that does appeal to me. But unfortunately, the lighting is so horrendous that hardly any of that is visible. So the narrative is very, very quick. We are constantly, after I'd say the first 15-20 minutes, we are constantly rushing around. Everything is really fast. The pacing seems to be okay. I will talk about the narrative in a second. The pacing seems to be okay, but the actual viewing experience is just horrendous. I'll read the description from IMDb because this sums it up without giving any spoilers, and it explains it better than I can. This says, a group of old war veterans put their lives on the line to defend a young woman taking shelter in their local VFW post who's running from a deranged drug dealer and his relentless army of drug-addled punks. I don't care about drug-based stories, could not care less, but I kind of like the characters of the old war veterans to begin with. As the film progresses, I never developed that interest in those characters. I think, honestly, I was just annoyed by how ugly the actual film looks. It's just so horrendous. That kind of lighting is okay in small doses or every now and then to create a gritty atmosphere, but if you're relying on dingy lighting for the entire hour and a half of the film, that tells me that you're trying to go for all style because the substance is incredibly lacking. And honestly, the substance isn't great. It's not horrendous, but it's kind of, let's make everything quick and badly lit so that people won't notice that the narrative maybe isn't as good as it could be. It's a lot of violence with not a lot of quality storytelling, but ultimately I could deal with that. I could watch it. The story would still be watchable. The characters might be interesting enough, but because it's so hideous, it's a really horrible viewing experience. And as I said, the narrative might not appeal to me, but I'm here for the gore. And I can't see the gore because the lighting's disgusting. So it's not a good film. The narrative is okay. If you really love this kind of story, you might think the narrative is a little better than okay, but personally, I still feel like they tried to go for all style because the substance is lacking, but the style isn't very good either. Sometimes less is more. And unfortunately, they don't seem to be aware of this with this film. Did I like it as a George Wendt fan? I mean, I liked George Wendt enough, but also can't really see him very well, so doesn't really make much of a difference. Not a good film. I guess it has potential, but it would need to be done with somebody who actually knows that lighting can't just be dark for an hour and a half, because that's not creating an atmosphere. That's just being annoying. Not a good film. Could be in the right hands, but unfortunately, that's not the case.